Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey, friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so thrilled to have you here. And I am so thrilled to be back in my house. So I have been living out of a suitcase for 2 months, one glorious month in France, and the second month in so many fun places while the Phineas Wright House was being used for a feature film. It was an amazing experience. There was so much goodness happening here, and a lot of people and a lot of cars and a lot of magic and a lot of, gosh, I don't know. It was just so good. It was good. They were the nicest people. I loved that. It was definitely disruptive though. And I think it's fascinating. We just got back into the house, Amelia and I, yesterday, and I found myself exhaling loudly and often, to which sweet Amelia would ask, "Mom, are you okay?" And I would say, "Yes, I am." It was the right decision. It was a great experience. It afforded us a lot of adventure and options, and it's great for my business and all the things. And I'm having some trouble as I navigate where all my stuff is and how things don't look the way they looked when I last was in this room. And there's just a process. And I loved the opportunity that I was able to share with her that you can feel two things at the same time. And even if they feel like they're in opposition, it's okay. Yes, this is frustrating that my house is dirty, but the cleaning crew is coming today, so hooray. And yes, it was disruptive and it was the right decision. So if you are finding yourself in the midst of a similar experience, I see you. And I know that you know that it takes rain to make a rainbow and all of those things. And it is okay to be in the messy middle. And it is okay to focus on the good while you are there. And it's all working out for you. In fact, everything is always working out for you. And that is a beautiful state of mind to be in. That is certainly the attitude and the state of mind of today's guest. This woman is so fun. I met her over the summer at a retreat that I attended in LA, and she's just cool. And I love celebrating people that are really good at things that I am not. And that is definitely true about my guest, Carrie Madsen. She is a performing artist who lives in Los Angeles, where she moved from Northern California over 10 years ago to take Hollywood by storm at 40. Crickets. Her first love is musical theater, and she has appeared in over 100 musicals and choreographed over 150. She has appeared professionally on stage and on TV, playing recurring guest characters on well-known shows like Jane the Virgin, Gilmore Girls, Good Girls Revolt, and James Corden's The Late Late Show. She still loves to perform and regularly works as a voice dubbing artist for Netflix foreign programming. However, something else in her is begging to be born. Carrie is returning to her creative roots to bring dance to adults through a vehicle she calls partyography. It's for people to have as much joy and fun as possible, learning a dance number with a theme and character emphasis. It incorporates staging, not just steps. So this creates a bond among the participants. They play together to bring the number, a story, to life. It's like getting the opportunity to be in a musical or a dance scene in a movie without having to be talented. That's the magic sauce. This is for all levels with no pressure. Carrie has the ability to host a creative space where Broadway performers dance alongside computer programmers, and it works. Her superpower is making it possible for everybody to dance, have fun, and feel included. Oh my gosh, how fun is she? I hope you enjoy this fabulous experience and this fabulous conversation with my friend, Carrie Madsen. Sweet Carrie, I could not be more excited to have this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Sweet Wendy. I am so excited to be asked to have this conversation and to be here live on Zoom with you.
Oh, it's just so fun. I say this all the time on the podcast. This is my most favorite thing of all the fun and fabulous things that I do. And I only do fun and fabulous things because I am only available for what delights me. But
Best handle ever.
and it's so true. And these conversations are just a joy and a delight. And I'm so grateful and just swimming in appreciation for this technology that allows us to be on opposite ends of the country and yet feel so connected and so present for each other because we've decided that that's how we're going to show up.
Yes. Resounding yes to all of that. I can imagine. It's a pretty great thing you've created here for yourself.
Thank you. It really is a joy. And I'm getting to have so many fun conversations and being introduced to people that I wouldn't normally meet. Like, gratefully, you and I met in person at Kathy's retreat in LA. And that is amazing and divine when somebody else is curating my new friend list. It's really fabulous. And I'm also meeting so many people that are being pitched to me to be on the podcast because they've written a book, or a woman is running for Congress. I'm interviewing her next week.
Oh,
Like,
cool.
okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now's the time, please.
Right? It's just so fun. And I'm so here for it and available for all of these connections that I don't see how I could have on my own, being a flower farmer in New England or being, on a plane going to France. What are the chances that I would have these interactions? But so so often I've said this on the podcast, but also on a sticky note right in front of me, the how is not my responsibility. And just being available for these connections that lead to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, it's just easy. And I love that that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. But that's what you model so perfectly. And that's
Mhm.
what struck me when we met at the retreat. Well, before I say that, I steal all your lines. They're so catchy and have so much wisdom, but are also fun to say. I only do what delights me. Like, that is the most fun thing to say. And then the how is not my responsibility. Amazing, life changing. But you really model what it's like on the other side of employing these. I'm
Mm.
calling them phrases, catchphrases, this wisdom. And for me, as someone who I feel is still in the process of discovering those truths and having them revealed to me, the light is coming on. Um, but to see what it's like on the other side and how rich it is, and like you're saying, flower farmer, trips to France, gourmet, fancy, and then podcasting, getting to talk and meet to amazing people. Like, that's a such a rich life. That is so inspiring. Wow. And yeah, how does that happen? It has to be magic, alchemy, everything. It's so cool. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
No, I received that, and I mean, like, look at the podcast, it's such a love fest. Who wouldn't? Everyone should have a podcast, you guys. It's so fun, I promise. And it is just it really is amazing because everything that I'm living used to be the dream. And the only way that that becomes manifested in my day to day is because of step one, I allowed myself to dream. And so much of my conditioning and the way that I grew up was that I mean, I deducted. My mom didn't sit me down and say, "Listen, this is how it's going to go." I just deducted from my young self in my experience that it's just going to be a lot easier for you if you don't want. Because if you want, oh, you're kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed. So if you can just wait for whatever's handed to you and then just be super happy about whatever's handed to you, you're going to have a great time. And that was totally fine until it wasn't.
Yeah, right.
And then
Until
once
it
I
wasn't.
realized that I had dreams, and then I held space for myself to write them down, and they got bigger once they got some water and sunshine on them. They just kept growing and growing, and then they would be realized, and would there be another one to take its place, and then another one and another one. It just happened with what we were talking about before I hit record. As I was promoting my most recent trips to France, in the days leading up to it in meditation, I received this download of the next thing to do is create this community of women called the Say Yes Sisterhood. And we'll be moving into our next yes, whatever that is. And I was so excited about it that I wanted the trip registration to already be closed. So like, France is old news, people. I'm on to new things. And that's just how this beautiful creative energy is, that there's not just one dream. There's just one dream after another, after another, after another. And we are satisfied with what is and eager for more.
Wow. Just sounds dreamy, beautiful, so desirable. Ah.
And I would just want to reflect back. You are doing it too. I think sometimes it's so hard for us to see. Like, I receive everything that you reflected back to me. To me, it just looks like my life, and the words are just my words. And I'm so thrilled to know that that has impact and it's inspiring. But you are up to amazing, fabulous things that are so outside of my wheelhouse that I think they're even more amazing and more fabulous than you probably do because they come easily to you. So
Oh,
tell
there's a
everyone,
perspective.
right? Like,
Yeah.
how are you saying yes to yourself in this season? And if
Ah,
it's not the things that I think are a giant yes. I'm super eager to add those to the list after you share.
I reflected on this in my journal this morning, and what I'm saying yes to, but I'm wondering if it also ties into what you were saying about in your upbringing not dreaming. I think I've always dreamed, but then I've been very frustrated that I can't make the dreams happen.
Mhm,
And I think I created a world where there were so many rules and
mhm,
that it took being really perfect and really good, and then everything would happen. So every time it doesn't happen, that means I'm not perfect, I'm not good, I failed, and then I have to pick myself up again. So that was this ongoing cycle
mhm.
of really efforting to make my dreams happen. And so, oh, emotion just came up. Okay, so I'm about to speak truth. Here we go.
I love
Goosebumps and emotion. Wow. Someone,
it.
okay. Um, uh, I am saying yes to taking risks, to betting on myself, and to getting out of the way so that spirit, the process can come through me and I can be available to do all these things I've always wanted to do. Oh my gosh, but here's the other thing I realized today on me. I wait for engraved invitations. I want to be discovered sitting over here being quiet and then have someone go, "Carrie, please read us your answer." And I go, "Oh, me? Oh, well, okay." And then read it and people go, "That's fabulous." And I'm like, "I know." I It's this strange, like, instead of me raising my hand and going, "I would like to share my answer." I, like, think it needs to be an invitation, like, I'm not allowed to show up bright, shiny, proud of what I do and who I am. So, there's just so much personal, and moment to moment presence that I am practicing to just hear these habits and these thoughts to go, "Oh, do I like this? Do I choose it? It's a pretty dumb one. No, let's retire it and get a new one." Um, it's exciting, but yeah, my old habits. I feel like I've been given the keys to the prison cell. I've had them all along, actually, I wasn't given them, I've had them. I've
The
finally
door
used
was never
them. Oh,
locked.
never locked. And so I'm out in the sunshine, but then part of me, like, will sometimes creep back into the cell and roll around in the filth and go, "Oh, yeah, this is familiar." But it doesn't have the hold on me that it used to, and it knows that because I know now it's a choice, like, "So are you done? Are you done here in the rags, and you ready to go back out in the sun?" "Yeah, yeah, I am."
Wow, that is so beautiful, and what a gorgeous visual. Thank you for that. How are you practicing finding your voice and then using your voice?
Okay, in so many ways. One is to realize what I'm feeling, and I think for
Mm,
so long, I disregarded feelings. Those are feminine. Those
mhm,
are not wanted, those don't help. Those don't help in this situation, we put those away. So,
mhm.
it was actually at the retreat when we did the what is it called? The
Oh, human
human
design.
design,
Mhm.
yeah. And I found out that I'm supposed to be making all my decisions from an emotional center, and I was like, "Uh-oh. I don't think I'm, you know, emotional center? Woof, I got it. Oh, and that's what you told me. You go, "Carrie, they're there." Oh my gosh, I forgot. That just came to me as I was looking at your dear face. Okay. Yeah, you simplified it. I thought, "Okay, now I've gotta, get in some courses and do some heavy work and lifting, figuring out what my feelings are." And I think I mentioned it, and you were like, "No, no, they're right there. You just need to say, 'I'm ready.'" And I was like, "Oh, it could be that simple?"
Mm,
So, I
we
let
make
I
it
let you tell
hard.
me that, yeah, and I took it in. Thank you
Mhm.
for
My
that.
pleasure.
And it's been really easy, like, my body's always telling me, my mind is always I'm always having emotions. I just had, shut it out, selective
Mhm.
hearing. So so one of the things is to feel what I'm feeling. Like last night, I had what is that called? Unattached or fear that is not specific, non-specific.
Mm.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah, feeling that. My heart's starting to race. Oh gosh darn it. I just want to read my book and go to bed." And I'm getting better at this, at going, "All right, what just happened that maybe started these feelings?" And I was like, "Oh, this is because I'm not getting people to come to my event Saturday. I don't have enough. I'm in that place again where it's so scary to be hosting an event and not have people, and I may have to cancel again. And oh my gosh, that's so humbling, and la, 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 la." And so the fear came up. But what was interesting is the fear came up, and instead of me saying, "Oh, fear's here. Oh, crap. I failed again. Okay. I'm not gonna fall asleep now. I'm just gonna be up till 3 in the morning," like, all these things. It did not become an end of the world event. I just went, "Fear." I kinda tested the edges of it. I go, "Yeah, I've felt you before. I know this is here. It's a feeling. I don't what feeling do I wanna have right now? I don't want this one. I feel like being calm and peaceful and trusting. I can think about this tomorrow. Right now, I wanna read and go to bed." And I breathed and just said, "I'm just gonna trust and let it go," and it just dissipated.
Mm.
So as much as I can feeling and handling not in a big way, just feeling it and then making a decision, choosing for it or against it, amplifying it or saying, "Let's pick something else." That's how I'm moving through things, and then it's this business I'm trying to start that is teaching me so too many things. Uh, it's I just the feelings are old. The feelings are not unfamiliar, but how I choose to handle them is different because I really would like to quit. Like I'd like to just go be safe. I'd like to go back to being a receptionist and people thinking I'm amazing because I can answer a phone and go, "Hello, da 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 da," and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing," but I'm working so beneath my
Right.
interest and my level of excellence. Like
That's
yeah,
your zone of competence, right?
yes.
Not even your zone of excellence, and most certainly not your zone of genius.
No, no, and if I play that loop forward, like, "Okay, if I do that, I can do that. Go ahead, Carrie." What do I see? I see an income that is an hourly that will never get me anywhere I wanna go. I will be trapped, imprisoned in a life that feels so claustrophobic and tight. So choice. Yeah, do it, go be safe, or keep showing up and taking the risk and being vulnerable and visible, and let's just see what happens. It makes my armpit sweat just talking about it.
Right, but it's so good. I love the fact that you are holding space for those uncomfortable emotions because again, back to another person at the retreat, when Amber Ray was speaking, she wrote the feelings journal and her prompt to us was, "Hey, hey, Wendy, this is fear speaking. This is what I need you to know." And then just to free form write what that emotion is trying to tell us. And when we can, in that practice for me was very interesting because sometimes when I do that and I play the tape out and I see like, okay, you just needed to state your case, but I'm the adult here. Usually that's more like wounded child that's afraid or feeling unsafe. And she just needs to be heard or comforted. And, that is an opportunity when I let that emotion play out instead of just saying, I'm not available for that emotion. It's like, I'm not available to live in a fear mindset, but I am available to be afraid because I appreciate that my ego is just trying to keep me safe. What was interesting in that practice that we did at the retreat, though, was when fear wanted a voice and I journaled what was coming to me. Ooh, she was a mean girl.
Oh my gosh.
And
Thank you
yeah.
for saying this.
Oh
People read
my,
theirs and they were so sweet and gentle, and I was like, "Wow, I'm glad I didn't read mine." Mine is, woo, she is
I thought I did
cruel
it
and
right.
biting.
I thought I did it wrong
Oh my gosh, me
because
too.
everybody else read them like, "Oh, I just know you're great." And I
Oh my gosh, Wendy, I'm so appreciate you saying that. That is so funny.
Oh, it's my pleasure. But what was also fascinating, because then, of course, I immediately went to, oh, geez. Also, glad I didn't read that out loud. And I did the assignment wrong. But then knowing that that's not true, which is a really great practice whenever some
Yes.
random unkind thought or familiar unkind thought comes in. Is that actually true? Okay,
Love
no,
it.
that's not true.
Stealing that one.
Right? So then what I was able to investigate was, it flew out of my body onto the page really expertly and quickly, and it was not nice. And so I got to ask, whose voice is that? Because I
Mm.
don't actually feel towards myself as mean as that journal entry was. And so I got to identify some other voices that have been in my life that came out of the face of other people. And I could identify, wow, that was actually that person's voice, not the voice of my fear. And it was very much like, don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, from the Wizard of Oz. And playing that whole thing out, I went from feeling really awful writing all of this stuff to then thinking I did it wrong to then thinking that, oh, this is somebody else's voice, to then having compassion for that person because they're not doing the same work that I'm doing. So that's actually the best that they have. And it just like became this beautiful loop of growth and expansion that started out, it didn't look like that's where we were going with it.
Yes. Oh, that is so cool. And I know for me, I went back to read because I felt very wrong-footed during a lot of the journal things, but often in a crowd, I have trouble hearing my own voice and self. I get very distracted. And I went back to read what I'd written, and I actually really liked it all. So in the moment, I was judgmental of it and thought it made no sense, and I was a crazy person way off in a left field. And going back and reading it later with time, I was like, "Oh, no, there was a lot of wisdom in that."
That's amazing. And isn't it funny? Not funny. Isn't it sad and tragic? Isn't it fascinating how we judge ourselves in these areas? So, for the listeners, Carrie and I met at this beautiful 3-day retreat that was led by Kathy Heller, and it was gorgeous. It was in Marina Del Rey in Southern California at the Ritz Carlton. It was beautiful.
Swanky,
She,
swanky.
right? Like it was so amazing. She holds really beautiful space, and she pulled in a lot of other people from her network. So we did this really gorgeous yoga practice, and I've done yoga like 4 times in my life. So that was not my favorite, only because I feel like I don't know what the poses are. So when people go from one to the other really quickly, I'm like, okay, wait, my left arm and my right foot, and I'm doing what? And then they're on to
For
the next
sure.
thing. So then we had an art practice, and I wasn't that was not my jam. And then we had this dance party where it very much looks like I've spent a 30-year career as a wedding planner in the back of the room holding a clipboard, making sure everybody has what they need during a dance party. So all of those things that you were killing it at, those were not my sweet spot. And I was so excited to have Amber Ray doing journaling because I was like, I can do this. This is what I do. So I think it's so beautiful to have this multi-sensory event where everybody felt like they owned some part of
Mm,
those offerings. And I guess that's the way to please 90 women that are in a room,
right?
is to have a
But the
lot of options.
And the benefit then of being stretched by the other ones to just
Totally.
notice and observe our reactions to it or how we behave in something that we're maybe not as good at or it feels awkward or whatever. Do I let
Right?
myself play or do I clam up and yeah, it's
I
interesting.
loved watching. I loved watching the dancing. It was not enjoyable. I would love to learn to dance, but I need private instruction apparently until I can take group instruction fast enough. And for the yoga, Kathy's instructions at the beginning was, it doesn't matter where you are in your practice, just be on your own mat. And that was beautiful
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like you have to participate, but you can just sit on your mat. But you need to be on your mat and then mentally stay, like eyes on your own paper, stay on your own
Yes.
mat. And it was
Yes.
such good guidance for me.
Yeah. For everyone. It shouldn't be, yeah, it should be between you and yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
It was all so beautiful. Now,
Yes.
to what you were slaying, which was the dance situation. And then as I spoke with you more and learned what you're doing, it's so fun and so fabulous. And I would love for you to tell all of my listeners what you're up to because I want to hire you to do parties for me.
I
And
wanna do one in your barn so
I
badly.
want you to. And all of my California listeners, like, turn up the volume, friends. Like, you want this. I just think you should come on my trips to France. We could be doing this at
Oh
a
my
chateau in
gosh.
France. It's so
Yes.
fun.
Yes. We'd do the swanky, swanky dance, something to,
Mhm.
Pink Martini.
Yes, please.
That
Yes, please.
would just
Okay,
be
tell
great.
everybody what
So
you do.
I have done musical theater all my life, and before I formally did musical theater, I was musical theater. I just that was records in my bedroom, the Music Man on the little black and white TV going, "What is this? I want it." Like, it's just always called to me and been who I am. I think the idea and I have said this often, my idea of heaven is everyone just going about their business, and then all of a sudden a song starting, and people, like, looking at each other and then getting up and starting to do all the same moves at the same time. I just think that is the most joyous picture I can ever imagine.
Heaven is a
Flash
flash mob.
I flash mobs make me bawl. I those are so happy. So, with all that uh, I then formally trained it. So then I thought, "Oh, this is the way you do this in your life. You know, do lots of shows and you learn acting, singing, and dancing, and then you, um, get into the professional realm and you get, you know, beaten into doing it very correctly, and, uh, there's value to that, and I enjoyed it. But I had a couple of things happen in my life along my road. I'm not answering the question. My god, I went
No, I
so
want
far
you
back.
to.
I
I
know,
want
but
you
this
to
is the
tell the
problem
whole
with being
story.
58 years old. It's like someone goes, "How are you?" Or, "Tell us a little about your life," and you go, "Well, back in the day," and it's like it goes on forever.
I've got nothing but time for you.
Oh,
And
that's so
I think
funny.
there's, just to let you know,
Yeah.
there's so much to story. And
There is.
it's very important to me, even again, back to the trips to France. I choose these curated experiences because of the story of the woman that is presenting it, that was from Texas and then went to the pastry track at Le Cordon Bleu in Paris and then met Francois and never came back. And now
Yes.
she
Yes.
has private pastry classes out of her Versailles apartment. That is just, that's a dreamy narrative. So when
Yes.
you know somebody's story and
Mhm.
it resonates, you can step in to their narrative, and your experience of it adds to their story and adds to yours. Oh my gosh. So please tell
Wow,
us.
Wendy, you always take all my swirling thoughts and just channel them so they all fly in one direction. That was so beautifully put.
Well, hooray that it's
Oh.
recorded. You can add that to your website. So I love knowing how this came, because then when we are doing this together, and I'm sure people are so eager, like, what is it already? Don't worry, we'll tell you. We'll tell you. Wait for it.
Stay
Wait
tuned.
for it. Also for them as well. It's like when they have
Right.
you come, they're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do the amazing thing. This woman, here's her whole story and how it came. And now that all of a sudden we've already decided that we had this most fabulous experience and we haven't even packed for our trip yet.
Right,
That's
right.
what story does.
Yes, you're right, you're right. Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm, received, needed to hear.
Yay.
All right.
Share
So
freely.
so picking up back in 1980, uh, the, when I was fiercely training and in this thinking I'm going to do it professionally, I had in my life, things had always come so easily to me. I was facile, I was fast. And so I thought life operated like that. And I was just lucky. And I took it for granted as a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, 24-year-old can do. So I was on a program in New York 2 consecutive years with UC Irvine that was very, oh my gosh, I was with legends of Broadway, just incredible. And I was, being cast as leads in these shows and feeling super confident in that area, and yet I thought, "Gosh, I don't wanna live in New York. My boyfriend, he's a surfer, and he's in LA. You know what? I'll just do film and TV, and I'll go back to LA." So, that's what I did, and that's what I based that decision on because in my upbringing, you get the man in place, and then everything's taken care of. Like, then I can go off and go over here and do these things I wanna do, but I did need to take care of that man. So, I moved back to LA and I dropped out of college with a year left. Good decision. And I went to Hollywood and I started taking classes and I got an agent and nothing happened. And I would hear, "You're so talented. Wow, you should be working." And I go, "Yeah, how do I do that?" And I couldn't figure it out. And it slowly started to snowball until I was so far from what I originally loved about performing and acting that I just hated it and I hated myself. I had an eating disorder. It just everything was wrong, 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 wrong. Oh, and I lost the surfer boyfriend. So nothing was going to plan. So my parents said, "We're worried about you. Why don't you move back home?" And I went, "Yes, please." And came back home and started looking for a husband right away. And and
That's a whole nother show.
a whole other show. It is, and then, uh, put acting in a box, didn't wanna do it, and became the receptionist, the secretary that I could do very well, to thunderous applause, and through working as a secretary at the Children's Theater, I had grown that. They asked me to start choreographing the kids, and I was like, "Well, okay." But that was what I do, and now I had this wound of knowing what it's like to be told you're not thin enough, you're not good enough, this isn't high enough, that's not fast enough. and seeing how it takes the joy away, that I was like to do anything I could to protect these kids and to make it all possible. Like, no, you can do this. This is available to you. What if we this? And so I started working with children. Okay, so flash forward, and young adults was who I really liked. I did get the husband, and uh, we adopted 3 children from Russia, because I'd gone on a trip to Russia and fallen in love with these kids. So that's also a whole other story.
That is a
And
whole other show. I can't wait
yes.
to have that conversation with you.
That's what the book that I'm kind of now the 10-year
Yes.
book process is about, because that did not end happy. That ended like a Sunday night movie of the week.
Mhm.
A story I would tell you, and you go, that doesn't happen in real life. It's like, yes, it does. It imploded. I lost everything. I lost the husband, the kids, all of it. Uh, and was terribly betrayed and terribly hurt. So from that place, I had to pick myself up again and go, all right, what do we make of this? And it's the little artist inside me that went, I never got to finish what I started. You quit. Can we please go back to acting? And it was like, yes, but we're going to do it smart and on our terms. So that began a professional acting career. I got my equity card and started touring with shows, and then came down to LA to do film and TV, where you find me today. So now, as everything is cyclical or seasonal, it was hard as a woman of 40 to come to LA. That's when most people are retiring and saying, "No, they don't want me anymore." And I was like, "Hi, I'm here."
You're welcome.
I yeah, thank you. How exciting. Uh, and I did pretty well, but there was a lot of silence in between jobs,
Mhm.
and that was hard for me because I do like to be busy and engaged. So I started wondering what else is there, and that's when I was like, "What if I did something with dance again, but it was for adults?" Because and I think we weren't recording when we talked about this. I think we were talking about your Say Yes Sisterhood. The number of people who say, "I'd like to, but I'd really want to, but" I would hear this from dancers because my dance mentor taught until he was 84, taught until he was 84. And I would watch him because I got to dance in person with him when he was about 70, is when I met him and found out the source of all these teachers I'd loved my whole life was him. So and he's
Mm.
in New York. So I would go, New York was my happy place, and I would go and take class with him and be in his intensives. His name's Luigi. And I was like, I that's what I want to do. I want to dance till I leave. And so, uh, so hearing people and their reasons why they don't and why they can't, I was like, that doesn't have to be true. And so giving those people a place and a space to play or use their bodies that have either done it and now think they can't for all these various reasons, or who always wanted to do it and were told they couldn't or they're no good. Like the singer who heard, "No, you're tone deaf." And they're like, "All I really want to do is sing." But what they do is they just turn inwards and they never do it. That breaks my heart. That breaks
Mhm.
my heart. And so that's how I feel about dance. Like, no, heaven is when we all know the moves and we dance together. We don't have to be good. We don't have to be any shape, size, or color. We just have to do it. And so I created, and this came also out of the strike down here and COVID. It's unsustainable. My life is totally unsustainable. I have to figure something out. I need a business. This business will be partyography.
I
It's
love
a
it.
doable, choreographed party. And what makes it unique is that it's thematic because I'm theater trained and the stories always mattered to me. So if you have a story about why you're dancing, it gives you a little bit more freedom and permission because you're not Wendy feeling super awkward. You're
Right?
a hippie doing this hair version, and we start and we do character games, like so silly. So for this Summer of Love when I'm doing Saturday, like, everyone's gonna have to go out in the garden and just show me, like, really spacey, like, look at a flower and then look at me and go, "Whoa, man." And everyone does that. Or, we'll all stand in a line and I'll go, "I want you to just look at me, smile, and then flash me the peace sign.
Oh,
And I
for
film it all on my camera, and so I can make a composite video at the end, and we laugh so hard. And then we learn a dance and perform it, but as hippies or as whatever the character is for the dance. So it has this element of play and then costume too. Like people can dress to their level of comfort. There's no requirement. But if you let yourself put on, some flowy top and a headband, you feel so groovy. Like you can't help but get into it.
oh my gosh,
So,
I love it. My
yeah.
face hurts from smiling so big.
Yeah. So I guess I'm trying to bring my heaven to earth and then learn how to value it and charge money for it. And that's all been greatly challenging.
That's juicy
Yeah, it's really juicy.
because the lead in, the fabulous idea that's so inspired and so fun and takes people out of their comfort zone onto this gorgeous journey and lets them do something that they never thought they would ever be able to do, and you're on that total trajectory in telling the story, and then you like get to the cliff and the bridge is out and you don't see how that has value and how to price it, like, oh my word,
Yeah,
queen.
it's because I have trouble getting people to commit to come. It's really
That's
tricky.
so
Anyone who comes
interesting.
is blown away, but for whatever reason, I can't get people to commit. And so that's been my issue. And that was the
Not to
fear
turn
last
this
night before bed.
into a coaching session,
But
I'm
let's
really
model for people.
fascinated. Why do you think that is?
I haven't identified that yet. I'm being visible.
Mhm.
I'm speaking up when I don't want to necessarily, or when it would be much easier to be quiet. I am getting on social and inviting again and making, really vibrant posters. I try to describe it so people understand what it is and so they know what to expect, so they feel safe trying this. And I get some interest, a lot of maybes that then trickle off and don't happen and commit.
Oh, that's so interesting. Have
Yeah.
you reached out to party planners?
No, not yet. Not
I
yet.
wonder if, because your idea is beautiful, the whole, you already know it works because you've done it. So going to a source where your client already is, they're going to a party planner because they don't want the typical thing that all of their friends are having. That might be a really great resource just to ask them, and
Yes.
just say, do you, I would love to, oh, what if you did, sorry, now I'm an
No.
idea factory, now we're sitting
I
next to
don't
each other
mind.
on the plane, and I'm an Enneagram 2,
Hold
which
on,
I've
let me
before.
pause my iPad here. Okay,
Right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm the I'm the helper, so I've got some unsolicited help for you. What if you threw a one of these partyography events and invited party planners to it and had them experience what it is you do, and you could connect with a caterer or someone else that is also wanting to meet some party
I love
planners so
that
they
idea,
all know
yes.
about it, but they could theme the food to whatever the theme of
Yes.
your
Yes.
party is. And then, I mean, you could even like connect with a floral designer or someone like that's creating the stage of what this is. If it's, summer of love and it's in this cool garden, as a wedding planner, we did shoots all the time where we just hired models and, brought everyone that wanted to be known and wanted to network participated in this. But if you did that and then you invited 10 party planners to come, and then they just got to experience what that was. Now you have 10 evangelists that have clients that you don't even have to look for
Yeah, that's
because they
beautiful.
already have the clients.
Yes. I think it's just this initial I was creating each party because I have about 10 themes and hosting them myself so that I could film them and have, like, some ringers, some people who are comfortable and some newcomers too, like, just to have, like, a curated group to perform it, that I can film it, that then it can go on my website so people see the offerings. That's what I'm having trouble getting people to commit to. Having people book it, I have a better ratio for that. But it
Fantastic.
but yeah, but what you're saying, to build it even like you said, evangelists that have their own reach. That's great. I'd also really like to do corporate team building. I think that would be just so fun and, yeah.
So fun,
Get your marketing or your VPs up there.
right? Okay, so you are at this point not looking for clients, you're looking for people to create your marketing.
Bodies.
Mm, okay. All my dancers out there that live in LA,
Uh, or not dancers. Anyone who just wants to play.
right? That's so
Yeah.
fun. I actually have some people I'm going to send your way.
Oh,
So
thanks.
fun.
That's fantastic.
I love this for you, Carrie, and it's such a good time. I love the idea of having it be corporate team building. I love the idea of being a really fun bachelorette party or, just anything that people it would be a really fun family reunion, right? Because it's
Yes.
like this thing that why just sit around the table and tell the same stories over and over again? Like, let's
Yes.
do something so fun.
Oh my gosh, my mom turned 90 and she's in a wheelchair and lost the use of her legs. And we were all gathering. And I said, why don't I do a dance for us all? And everyone, oh, yeah, maybe, kind of, like lukewarm. But also, yes, we should. That's a good idea. My mom loved the Carole King song, I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet. I feel
Yep.
it. So what is that song called? Tumbling Down.
I
Anyway,
don't know. I know
um,
what song it is,
yeah,
though.
exactly. So and she would vacuum to it. And actually, when I
Cute.
was a teenager and sleeping in too late, she would vacuum and pound my door to that song, like, "Wake up in there." So I was like, "Oh, that's the song we're doing." And so I made up a simple dance and I videotaped it and sent it to the family and said, "Learn this chorus. We'll dance it for mom at her birthday party." We were at a restaurant, but in like a back patio, and I didn't know if anyone had watched the video. They were all so busy, a lot of little kids, and I really didn't know if it was going to happen. And my brother looks at me and he goes, "Are we doing this?" And I go, I guess so." And I put on the music. I mean, just the uncertainty for me, like, is this going to be, not that it really mattered if it failed, but do you know what I mean? Like, huh, and I put on the music and everyone gets up and we put my mom in the center of the patio and the whole family, 70 down to 2, were all doing the vacuum cleaner dance. And we were laughing so hard. And on the verses, we were like dancing around my mom and we made a bridge and she was just in her wheelchair clapping her hands. She loved to dance. It was so beautiful. And if I can do that, if I can create that for people, I think it has great value. I think it's amazing. I just don't know how to tell people how to use me.
I love this so much. I love this, and I'm really excited that you are coming to a knowing that you do not have to have a perfect website presence before you start bringing joy to people's gatherings.
Oh, thank you, Wendy.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. That's old me. She
Right.
definitely would have thought and I would have just hidden behind those details.
Right.
No, I'll be over here really busy, so I don't have to
Right.
step out and do it.
And beating the drum of the story of how I can't get people to help me with my marketing. So obviously this business isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Which you
yeah,
already
right.
know that you have clients. So just go do that and then put those videos on your website because people
Yes.
are going to look at that and go, oh, good. They look like they're having fun and not doing it perfectly. I think that's the thing for us.
Yes, 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 yes. That's it. Yeah, perfect is so unuseful.
Perfect is the enemy of good,
It really is. It's so boring.
right? And it's so funny because I hear, again, not funny, fascinating. I don't know why I keep saying funny.
Well, I
I
like
think,
funny.
right? It's
And it is funny in a way.
fascinating. Yes, it is ironic that so often we preface things that we're about to say with, well, it wasn't perfect, but da da
Oh,
da 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 da. When we nobody even knows what perfect is. Perfect is usually something that we reflect on. It's like, oh my gosh, that day was perfection. But if we
mm,
were looking for perfection that day would not have been it. I feel
right.
like perfection is just something that comes in retrospect.
Oh, whoa, Wendy, that's brilliant. You are right. If you look for perfection, you get the opposite.
Mhm. Which is so now that's also fascinating because we know that we get what we expect, but I think when we are looking for perfection, we are not looking for perfection, we are looking for the lack thereof.
It's
And we're
rigid.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's just like that Abraham Hicks talks about if you like you pick up the abundance stick and on one side of the stick is abundance and the other side of the stick is the lack of abundance and it's what side of the stick are you actually picking up and focusing on. So
Yes. It
yeah.
also makes me think of that, Kathy talks about this a lot, but the outward, if you're looking outward for the feelings that what you really want, it's not an outward, it's never going to come from an outward source. That is an inside job. And perfection seems to me to be looking outside yourself
Mhm.
for this elusive
That nobody can
standard.
define
Yeah.
anyway. And everyone always says whatever this was, it's not perfect. So I don't, it's so fun. Yeah. What
Yeah.
is happening? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
just,
going to really watch how I use that word. That's
right. Me
interesting.
too. I think I'm going to try omitting it from my vocabulary unless I'm doing in retrospect saying,
It was a
oh my
perfect
gosh, that
day.
was perfection.
It's just so beautiful. Yeah, because I feel that a lot. That's a totally different thing.
And it's usually because it took us by surprise.
Yeah, you're right.
And
It
when we
came
are
upon us.
striving for perfection, it is so intentional and purposeful and almost militant
Oh,
in
yes.
its
Yes.
in
And
how it
that's where
shows
my
up,
mean girl comes out. Not like
right?
that. No, you did it wrong again.
Right, which is also, back to my reflection in my journal and the realization that that wasn't even my voice. Like, I was never in your dance classes, but what you just said sounded very much like a dance instructor pounding their stick. The woman who in Fame, I used to watch
Oh,
Fame
yeah,
when I
fame.
was
So good.
little, and
Yes.
I can't remember that actress's name. Was it
Me neither.
Debbie Allen?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she would be like pounding her stick on the ground. Do it again. Do it again. No,
Dance
no, no.
teachers
That's
and those
not right.
sticks. Horrible.
Right? And so it's interesting when you are recognizing something that is not perfect, the voice you hear in your head is not even your own.
Dot, dot, dot.
Wow. Okay. See? See why I love this podcast?
Yeah,
Like, oh my
completely. Completely.
I would rather do this than iron, and I love ironing, but
You
oh
know,
my
you could
word.
set up your mic in front of the ironing board.
I've done
You
it before. I
could
haven't done it for recording a podcast, but I've definitely done it for some of Kathy's calls.
okay, I challenge you to do my intro while ironing. Let's just find out how that will sound.
All right. We will, except for there was a call with Kathy yesterday, so my ironing basket is empty. So I
Oh,
cannot.
that's good use of that time,
I
like that.
know. I know. And trying to
Mm.
figure this all out. It's so good.
My ironing sits in the laundry room for months.
Ah.
So those clothes never get worn. It's so sad. I've got to figure that out.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, I have loved this conversation. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can have you come do a partyography at their own home or venue. It's all so good.
Aw, I love Instagram. So I'm on Instagram as Carrie Madsen myself, which is my acting and my our do-it-yourself home remodel. And then Flying Leap _creative is where you find everything dance related. And there's website links on those. And then you can email me or message me from there. Love to hear from you. Even if you just have encouragement or anything that I said that you're feeling too. Wow. I'd love to know how you're managing and navigating things. That's amazing.
Right. And I would love to know if they have ideas for a theme,
Oh,
because
that would
that's
be
so
so
fun,
cool. Yeah,
right?
agree,
I
agree.
want to learn the dance from Thriller because
Oh,
my favorite movies is 13 Going on 30, and
the
it's my
great.
favorite scene when she busts that out.
I already know that choreography. I did a fashion show in LA and we danced that with a Michael Jackson lookalike. I can do that one for you. We'll do it in your barn.
I'm so excited.
But we'll
Okay,
dance.
friend.
We'll be Jennifer Garner. We will
Oh, yes,
not be Thriller. We'll be Jennifer Garner.
I want that. Yay. Okay, who wants to come to my 13 Going on 30 party? It's
It's a
so
really
fun.
good party idea.
Oh my gosh, I
Done
love
and
it.
done.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Oh,
You are a
Wendy.
joy.
Thank you. You are. And you're so wise. The things that come out of your mouth, I tell you.
I love you. I received
Love
that.
you.
Thank you.
All right, more to come.
Yes. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.